Switching gears now to the results for the Iowa primary election, setting up battles that we'll end up seeing in the Senate and House seats this November in the general election.
Yes, we start with one of the bigger ones, right? The race for the Republican seat of the Iowa governor has been close. We've been tracking it for you overnight, but here are the latest results. We now know that Zach Lane won the nomination for governor.
Yep, the Associated Press called that race just before midnight. Lane pulled ahead, securing a victory of just under a percentage point. Feenstra was the only Iowa candidate that was endorsed by Trump to lose.
Now let's hear the responses from Lane and Feenstra.
Iowa belongs to Iowans. Iowa belongs to the families and children here. It belongs to the farmers working the ground. It belongs to the small towns that are fighting to survive. It belongs to the young people who want to stay home. It belongs to us.
We got a new chapter, and I'm so looking forward to that new chapter in life. I've been in politics a long time, and you know what? God has now said, hey, Randy, we're into something else exciting. So.
Lane will now go on to face State Auditor Rob Sand in the November election, and Rob Sand ran uncontested in the Democratic race.
But I also want to talk about how I'll work with the Republican legislature in this state to get a new direction going and a focus on making Iowa not bluer or redder, but truer and better.
Now, the first race we heard called was for the Republican nominee for U.S. Senate.
AP called that race for Ashley Hinson. J.D. Snover from our sister station in Des Moines was with Hinson when she won the nomination.
An election night watch party turned into an election night victory party in just a matter of minutes for Ashley Hinson on Tuesday. She also thanked Joni Ernst and acknowledged that she'd been chasing the hogs out of Washington and pledged to continue doing so. Joni Ernst, of course, will be retiring from the Senate at the end of this term. So, in her acceptance speech, Hinson talked about her track record in Congress. She's been serving Northeast Iowa there since 2021, and she championed what she calls the working family tax cuts, which was, of course, a part of the One Big Beautiful Bill. Specifically, she named no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. And she said there's still more work to do.
Despite all of that progress, we know we have a long way to go, right? We have more to do. We have more to do to lower the cost of groceries and gas. We have more to do to help young Iowa families afford their first home and make sure that childcare isn't more expensive than the mortgage payment.
So the focus now turns to that first Tuesday in November when Hinson's name will be on the ballot with Josh Turek. In Cedar Rapids, I'm J.D. Snover.
AP called the Democratic Senate race for Josh Turek about 45 minutes after polls closed last night.
He spoke moments after his race was called.
This campaign has been about fighting for the middle class, working families, rural communities, small family farms, and working with anyone to address rising costs, stagnant incomes, and out-of-control corruption in D.C. Iowans all over this state have heard our message and felt hope that we can change this state and change this country. Tonight is proof of that.
News 8's Maddie Franz was with his opponent, Zach Walz, covering the race.
State Representative Josh Turek will be facing off against Representative Ashley Hinson in the general election in November. Turek won a gold medal for wheelchair basketball previously before he went on to win his seat in Council Bluffs with a very thin margin. When he went back for re-election, he was able to widen that margin to about 5%. Now, Turek has really focused on his competitiveness, his ability to win against a Republican. Iowa State Senator Zach Walz, in his concession speech, throwing his full support behind Josh Turek. He really wants all of his supporters, all of his resources to go behind Turek as they make their way to this election.
Clearly, the work that we began together 1 year ago this month does not end tonight. It is going to end in November when Representative Josh Turek defeats Ashley Hinson.
Now, this race has been watched nationally very closely. There are over a dozen outlets here at the Walz Party as we go into November, as Democrats are hoping to flip this open seat. In Iowa City, Maddie Franz, WQAD News 8.
Hinson and Turek will go head-to-head this November for the Senate seat. Hinson enters the general election with strong Republican backing, including an endorsement from President Donald Trump.
And while Democrats have invested heavily in Turek, a Paralympian gold medalist and state lawmaker who flipped a district that Trump won back in 2022, political observers expect this race to be one of the most watched contests in Iowa this year.
Yes, now we want to turn to what matchup a lot of people know about.
I was pulling it up as you mentioned it right about right now. Other races that we've been tracking in the U.S. House District 1 race.
Yeah, we've seen this time and time again, but as you can see on the Democratic side, Christina Bohannon won this race, winning with just over 80% of the vote.
We're going to the other side right now, pulling up that map. And Marionette Miller Meeks won just about 70% of the vote. Both of those candidates won in every single district in District 1.
Bohannon and Miller Meeks will go head-to-head this November in the general election for the third time. And for other election results, you can go to WQAD.com. We have a link on the front page.